Byblos is one of the oldest cities in the world. As early as 4000 BC, Byblos was the great commercial and religious center of the Syrian coast. From here, the Egyptians carried away Lebanese timber and copper brought down from the Caucasus. Like all Phoenician cities, Byblos saw the passing of the kings of Assyria, the Persians, the Greeks under Alexander the Great, the Byzantines, the Arabs, and the Crusaders. Further south is Sidon, another ancient town, and between these two, the coastal road crosses the gorge of the Dog River. There, on a cliff, are plaques left by the different conquerors who passed this way. The narrow coastal strip varies in width from 1 to 4 miles and never suffers from extreme cold. Even in January, the temperature stays around 60 degrees, and for 2 months of the year it doesn't rain at all. This is the area where the fruits of the Lebanon are at their best. A few miles from the coast, olive groves cover the lower slopes of the Lebanon mountain range. There are different varieties of olives, just as there are of apples. Some are best suited for eating, others for the manufacture of olive oil, but all need looking after and keeping free of weeds. In the Middle East, the old ways and the new can often be found working side by side. The change from the ancient wooden plough to the modern tractor-driven one is achieved in one jump, without the gradual transition that occurred in Britain. So it's not surprising to find that the farmers do not all have that mechanical aptitude which is ingrown in European farmers, and do not always work their machine to its full capacity. It's always difficult to make a sudden change from the old ways.
تعيد له طبعا روحي روح ابركي روحي روح ابركي روحي تلميك تلميك تعيد له تعيه الله معاه تعيد له تعيد له تعال شاور لي خليه خال خليه خال
It's a hard, stony land. Some parts, too rocky or too steep to cultivate, are used to best advantage by shepherds and goat herds. Here, an old orchard is being cleared so that tobacco can be planted. Tractors are used a great deal in the Middle East for pulling trailers, but in some cases it's still better to use animals. They can get between trees more easily, even if it takes some encouragement. And camel trains can travel where there's no fuel supply. Yes, it's stony ground, but some people can make good use of the stones. This is a stone crusher which works all day long without a break, turning the rough rock of the countryside into the chippings which are used in concrete. Syria can be defined roughly as a country bounded on the west by the mountains of the Lebanon and on the east by the Syrian desert. In the north is a high plateau, a productive land where the main crop is cereals. Here, too, the way of life in the countryside is slow to change. This is Aleppo, after Damascus, the most important city of Syria. It's in the towns that the signs of progress first become evident and then spread outwards. The land is ideal for tractors, and much more of it's now being brought under cultivation. On the road between Aleppo and Damascus lies Hama. It was mentioned in the Bible as the northern boundary of the land of Israel, and Solomon included it in his kingdom. Hama is situated on the river Orontes, called by the Arabs the Rebel, because other rivers water the lands without wheels, but the river Hama waters them only by the aid of machines. The wheels, towering above the countryside, are driven by the river and in turning lift a part of the water high up into overhead irrigation channels which carry it away to the fields. Away from the rivers, wells are the main source of water. This well pump is in the Beqaa, the beautiful and rich plain that lies between the two Lebanese mountain ranges. The Beqaa is about 3,000 feet above sea level and has a climate which favors the cultivation of cereals, vines, and fruits. It isn't large, only 75 miles long and about 9 miles wide, but it's intensely cultivated, and at the American University Farm, the correct and full use of all modern aids to farming is taught to students from all over the world. The roads here are straight and fast. For thousands of years, the Beqaa has been the main route for caravans from the east and the north, and here still stand the remains of the great city of Baalbek, originally an important pagan religious center. The Phoenicians built here a temple in honor of Baal, and when the Romans came, they added their own temples. Later, a Christian church was built on the same site, and when the Muslims conquered the city, a mosque. Some restoration work is now being done, slowly rebuilding the past with the original stones. Concrete would be quite out of place here, but it's normal in cities like Beirut. Away from the bustle of the town, 6,000 feet up in the comparative quiet of the hills, are the Cedars of Lebanon. Some of these trees are 1,500 years old. Some will still be here 1,000 years from now. We may well be ploughing with atomic power then, but the hills and the trees will never change.